gentlemen, welcome to another episode of House Talk, home of all things house. This episode is sponsored by the co-lab studios here in Clearwater. And we've got Tyler, the creator, of course, behind the camera doing all of our producing and edits. And guys, just want to make a quick announcement. We are going to be taking a little bit of a hiatus. We are going to be on the hunt for a new place to film. So it looks like we will be recording back in the music studio. So if you guys see our changes, that's why. And if you guys know of any open areas we can film, please get with myself or Tyler. And now I am so excited to welcome our guest, Quinn Blalock. I hope I said that right.
You nailed it.
Yes. Okay. So thanks so much for coming on. And I'm really excited to just talk about all your new stuff that's been happening. You've been blowing up on Instagram. So let's start with how you got involved with DJing and how you got into the estate, and let's just
Cool
start
question.
with there.
Yeah, start. So, all right, little life journey. So when I was super young, I got into music. My dad used to work in a music shop. So he
Okay.
would bring home all these unique instruments, like rare guitars, drums, basses, harmonicas, all kinds of weird stuff. And naturally, I would play with the toys.
Okay.
And the toy initially was guitar, and then it was drums, and it was bass. And so I just fell in love with music, I guess, at a young age. Something that my dad loved. So naturally, as a child, I'm like, well, I want to do what you love. So I started to learn the instruments, inspired by all kinds of bands and musicians, Queen, Jimi Hendrix,
Okay.
et cetera, et cetera. But when I was in college, I discovered DJing in an environment where I don't know if you've ever heard of a group called Smokehouse, but it was Brandon Sutton, Mike Gard, Kyle Kinch, who I'm sure you know of.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yep. I know Kyle.
Dimitri at the time, Grant Lee, just an awesome group. Luke, I'm sure you know of Luke Legal.
Oh
Lethal.
yes.
Right. So we all knew each other back in the day. We were starting out DJing, and
Well, that's so funny.
yeah. It's
Wow.
cool. It's cool because it was, all of us in college, figuring it out, learning Ableton, sharing knowledge with each other,
Okay.
sharing gigs with each other, and coming together as a collective. And it was wild, but starting out, we were able to book and work with artists like Chus and Jubios. We had The Magician. We had Justin Martin. Some really amazing artists come through. Worked at venues like District 3. We did a run at Asia back in the day. So it was really cool. So Smokehouse was, I'd say, one of the biggest first starts with myself, again, Sutton Kinch, massive collective.
Okay.
And yeah, from there, I've had a very diverse music career. And so, yeah.
So do you do music full time, or you have something else going and then you do
Right.
music at...
Right. So I do music full time.
Good for you.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
been amazing. I've been an entrepreneur now for about 7 years.
Okay.
I've had about 5 different businesses. I've hosted events, retreats. I've started a tech company. I've done a lot of different things. But every single time, music has been a supporter for me,
It's like
financially and energetically.
you keep going back to it.
Yeah, it's at this point, it's funny, but at this point, it's the low-hanging fruit. It's what I'm an expert in. I've been doing it since I was 12 years old. I used to play in the band at my church. I went to school for audio engineering in Los Angeles, and I've been mixing and mastering, worked for a platinum recording studio. I have a lot of experience. I never stopped doing it for about 8 years. And so at this point, for me, it's it's the obvious, not only is it the thing I'm the most passionate about, but it's the obvious direction and choice, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's really cool that you have all this background, not only with music, but your other businesses you did and the event hosting, the retreats. How was event hosting?
It's it's awesome. I talk about it all the time because it's beautiful to see how I made this commitment that in my 20s I would just follow my curiosities, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
So I'm I love psychology. I love I love the way the mind works and stuff. And I've had this like desire to find like authenticity within myself and like
Hmm.
a way to express without any like what if you had no fear of judgment, you didn't really care about like the finances, nothing, you just kind of pursued your curiosities and your passions. And that led me to events, it led me to retreats. And what I've learned from that has affected my life in ways that I couldn't even like completely changed me as a person. And just seeing the amount of intention, how to manage stress, how to operate when things like are pivoting and changing often, because it's wild. A lot of people don't realize how like difficult it actually is to host a successful event, and more importantly, how many moving pieces there are, you know?
Would you mind sharing some of the experiences with hosting events? Because, and I've brought this up a few times on the show, it looks like events are so easily thrown. People make all this money, but at the end of the day, is it hard to break even? And
Yeah.
how do you go about, when you lose money or when
Mhm.
things don't go right or your artist doesn't show up? How do you manage that stress? How do you work through it all?
Right, right. And I don't mean to get too deep here,
It's
but
okay.
it's literally a spiritual experience because of you nailed it. You like nailed all the categories there. Like there's so many you can do the best, right? You have the best team, everything's dialed in, you have the most preparation, the most time, you just set everything up perfect, and then someone doesn't show up day of, someone gets sick, there's a car accident, a flight's late, and an artist can't make it. It's crazy, you know what I mean? There's a lot of pivots inside, but I think that's part of it. It's under okay. I'm just gonna share my own,
Yeah,
but to
go
me,
for
it's
it.
there's one intention. Like if you can boil it down to just one intention of the event. So let's say the intention is self love or the intention is expression. Then you make everything just that's the win. If people came there and they felt self love or felt like creative expression within themselves or felt some sort of freedom, whatever the intention is, then if they've felt that outcome, then it's a win, right? The financial, if you're in the green or the red or break even, is it's almost like a battle in the war. Like there's a long period of time that you're going to be doing this. That's what you've committed to, growing a community and being part of it on a root on a deep level. So you just have to kind of fight the battles and not let them like get you down really,
Mhm.
and try to do the best that you can. You know, it's like the four agreements. But anyways,
So you said it's a long battle. How long did it take you to, I don't want to say make it, but it's no secret that you've paired up with one of us, and we've had a few of one of us DJs on here. We've had Sharif Sedaris and
love
Breezy on
Sharif,
here, and now
my
you.
homies. Yeah.
Um, and we love the One of Us crew. And how long did it take you, from you to get where you are now, and to have that? I don't know if lucky break is the right word, but to
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah, that's cool. I was just like talking about this a couple of days ago, but just it's it is same battle wars like terminology or analogy, but it is like a continuous process. I think that some things feel like they've happened overnight. I'll reference a song, a record that when you send records out, you make one, you send them to a bunch of labels. And you
Hmm.
send them to your favorite label first, and then your second favorite label second, and you keep going down the line, and you try to give enough time to each label for there to be a response. So let's say 10 days in between. And let's say you want to send it to 10 labels, you know, that's 100 days of waiting. And like each time you're like, I really want to get this song out here. You put hope in it, but you just keep sending them to labels, and you also keep making songs across those 100 days. So like you don't think that because your song didn't get accepted from the label that you should stop making music or that your music's not good enough. You just keep doing it and keep going. So even with this One of Us deal, I absolutely love it. I love Door, I love the operations, I love Nye, I love Kennedy, I love Justin, I love the whole family. Like I love Trent. They are so the team is wild. Like they're amazing. It's a family. The community is absolutely beautiful. So I love this deal. But I've had a very like my career. I've done amazing things in my career, and then I've also had really dry points. So I kind of look at things in a seasonal
Hmm.
standpoint, and you know, right now we're in summer. We're cranking up. We're building. We're moving forward with confidence. But I know that there's going to be a winter, and it's just about like prepping for that, like across the board, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How did you get into the estate? Were you there before and then you and one of us paired up?
No, so Dor and Jeff is absolutely amazing. He's like one of the owners and lead managers at the estate. Amazing leader. Dor and Jeff have been working on this deal for a while now. So Dor knows Jeff. I think everyone knows one of us. So Jeff knows Dor. He knows what they've been doing. But yeah, so he reached out to him and they connected, and Dor reached out to me. And over the past, I would say it's been a while. Let's say 4 months to 6 months. There's been planning and preparation and discovery and just everyone and all parties waiting for the right time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's been cool to like be a part of that and to finally like get this thing off the ground. And
Well, and as we were talking before we started filming, it's nice to have a venue now because, as most of you know, we are losing venues left and right, and there's
Right.
not a lot of places to go. And
Right.
it seems that, one of us in the estate, stepped it up and are now providing a place for us EDM house heads to go enjoy music.
Yeah, I love that.
And I haven't been yet.
Oh, I'm excited for you to go.
But I'm very excited to go because every time I feel like I see you post something, we've added new lights. Like I remember seeing the post about you brought a light guy in.
Oh, Dan is the man. We got to shout out Dan. We got to clip this and just put it on the loop. Dan is the best. Like, he is so amazing, and he's there every night. So Dan actually also works at Janice Lanning. For all the major bands that come in, there's no doubt in my mind that Dan is the best lighting guy in the city. There's no question. And that's no offense to any other lighting guys. I love them all, and I'm sure they're amazing, and I haven't, like, sat behind each one of them judging purely off of that, so I don't actually know, but he is amazing. And what's cool is even last week at the end of the night, last like 20 minutes, he's mapping a laser on the side of the wall and making all these designs on the side of the wall. I'm like, bro, what? He just keeps like leveling up. He's very intentional about his lights and how the experience is moving throughout the night. So he's very intentional. He's the best I've worked with in the city, period.
So you've mentioned a few times you like to curate an experience, you like to drive an emotion. So I haven't been to one of your shows yet. So what would somebody experience at one of your shows?
Right.
Like, how are we setting the tone? Are you, like, is it every weekend you try to pick something different or?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, so it's so beautiful. Like my best experiences when I go to shows are when I feel like I go back to the word spiritual, but I feel like I almost have like breakthroughs. You know what I mean? I move through things. Like I'm dancing and I have like realizations. Like it's almost like therapy, really. Therapy church, whatever you want to call it. And that's ideally what I want to cultivate in the audience, best case scenario. Now, what that therapy is could be different, and it feels different. Like for me, when I'm in that zone, and I really like to have a pulse on the city. Like I like to really I like to be here. I like to meet you guys. I like to hear what like you're interested in. I like to talk to everyone and just get their energy and just try to like almost be the therapist in that situation and just provide this experience that takes you on a journey that ideally leads to whatever the intention was.
And that's what I love. And okay, folks, so I'm looking over here, I'm looking at Tyler. But that's what I love about, I think, going to a rave or a show. Like, sometimes you go on these journeys, you walk in and you walk in as one person and you leave as another person.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I like about, the club and festivals too is, you could walk in by yourself and then walk out with a group of 10 people who are now your like new best friends.
Oh, yeah.
And just form relationships.
100%.
We're touching a lot on community. Do you think this is a true statement that St. Pete is where it's at now?
In comparison
for Tampa Bay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so I work in Tampa a lot. You know what I mean? I've done a lot in Tampa. And I love Tampa. I love the work I do in Tampa. but they do not. They've told me several times when I've attempted to like bring a house scene in there, and that's not everyone. I mean, if there's anyone out there that wants to start a house scene in Tampa other than Imbird, let me know. Because I've tried. I've like really putting, and I'm going to continue to put my best foot forward. But there's something about a moment in time and in the place and the demographic. And St. Pete, the community is like, oh my God! Like, well, I have a friend that just moved here from Miami, and he lived in Miami like almost his entire life. He came and visited here a couple times and like met the community. And he tells me every time I see him, he's like, "It's the community." His mom just met the community and was like, "I see why you live here." It's really cool. Like the community is it's very potent in this city. And I've lived in LA, I've lived in Vegas, I've lived in New York, I've lived in Texas. Like this community is so like.
You and I have lived in very similar places.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, because I've also lived in New York.
Nice. That's really cool.
I lived in New York. I lived in Long Island for a little bit.
Nice.
I used to gallop race horses at Belmont Park.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. Then we'd take the train.
I went to Belmont for the races when I was up there.
It's such a cool thing to do.
It is.
And then I have a love-hate relationship with Vegas.
Yeah. Okay. What's the love and what's the hate?
I ran away when I was 18 and got married to a stranger in Las Vegas.
Nice.
And was married for 3 years, and it was just...
That's a cool, like, character story. Like, you did the thing. You went to Vegas and...
Yeah, so we went to Vegas, and he was in the Marines and was stationed in San Diego. So we went back from, San Diego to Vegas quite a bit, and Vegas was, I feel like, when you're in your late teens, early 20s, it was just, the place to be. So how did you like Vegas?
I wasn't there in my late teens, early 20s,
Okay.
but I think that would have been sick, like to be there in your late teens, early 20s. And I was there during COVID, so it was a little different, but I saw the post-COVID opening, so I was there for a little bit. Here's what I like about Vegas. They randomly have a lot of dope hikes, like a lot of dope parks and hikes. Like you think like Vegas is just like a casino spot, and you're just like, oh, there's some fucking hikes here. It's like Mount Charleston, I think it's called, but that's like 45 minutes outside the city, and you can hike and see snow at the top, like at sometimes, which is wild because it's like I'm in a desert. And then the salt flats are sick. Like we used to throw parties at the salt flats, just bring like Function Ones out there and like everyone's car, set bonfires. They would do like fucking, it's dangerous. The truck actually toppled over one time, but they would do burnouts. It's like, it almost was like you're like, I'm in an apocalyptic movie where we're just, it was a cool like energy.
Mad Max.
Yeah, they throw like camping parties out in the middle of nowhere because in Vegas, you can just drive and it's like, there's no, it's just like there's nothing.
Wasn't Burning Man in Nevada?
Burning Man is...
It's happening now.
Yeah, Burning Man, I believe, I've never been, but Burning Man, I believe, is Northern California.
Really?
Yeah, I believe, but I could be wrong.
Okay, I don't know where it is, but I know it's in the desert. So where are you originally from? Like, where'd you grow up?
I was born in Atlanta.
You're a Georgia boy.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. Go Dogs. No, but
You still have your family there?
Yeah. So my sister's there.
Okay.
Right now. Yep. I'm actually probably flying in next month.
So are you just a free spirit, and is that why you've moved around so much?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you said you got kicked out at 18 or you ran away?
No, right. Ran away at 18.
Yeah. I got kicked out at 16, like early 16. And I just rode, like, I lived with my friend for a while, with my girlfriend for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then I just, my mom, like, made me come back, like, right before my 18th birthday.
Okay.
And so I was gone for, like, a year and a half. And she makes me come back. And I was like, okay. And then the minute I turned 18, I was like, peace, like, same thing, and just rode. Yeah. And, I've been comfortable moving. But, again, back to the power of this community, I'm like, oh, this feels nice here. I want to, like, establish something here. I want to be part of something here. And I went to school at USF, so I'm not unfamiliar with Tampa. Okay. I've had a lot of experience here, but I left for about 3.5 years. And then before that, I was leaving for like 6 months at a time and living in other cities. Mm-hmm. So it was, it's been nice. I think I've learned a lot. I think everyone can learn a lot traveling. Yeah. But that's where we're at now.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, Tampa, I think Tampa, St. Pete, it's such, I know for me, this is home. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the last stop for me on the train with moving. And, like, when I got here, I was like, this is it.
That's awesome.
California was great. Like, San Diego was great.
Beautiful.
But, there's just something different about Florida and the community down here. Mm-hmm. It's so different than when you go to Miami. But
Oh my
Miami is a
God.
different, that's
Beast.
its own like state. It's its own
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. Badass place. I love Miami. I just got back from there. I was there the week before last for my birthday. And it was cool because I had a different experience.
Okay.
Like I met some really dope people. Do you know
Okay.
what I mean? Like it was like, oh, in every big city, it's just there's just a higher ratio.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a little bit harder. Like the haystack is bigger, so it's harder to find the needle. Like, but when you do find the needles in Miami, they're like, good people I found this time around. Like very like tapped in and connected people, and there's a cool kind of like smaller clubs and underground scenes that still have amazing artists. So
What are some of your underground clubs that you liked in Miami?
So I love Jolene, like love Jolene. It's
Okay.
a hi-fi sound bar, which means high fidelity, which means just like the best sound like
Okay.
ever. They spent millions of dollars on the sound, and two different promoters got together, like two different owner groups. One of them from space, and they made this venue. And they just had Victor Caldron there the week before last. And the sound, no matter where you're at, like bar and the dance floor, is just so like perfect.
Okay.
They have listening rooms there, so when someone wants to drop an album, they'll drop an album there and just listen to the album. There's no one's DJing or anything. There's just albums start to finish. You sit there and like listen to it.
That's a really cool concept.
Super cool concept.
Yeah.
I was like, we need one here.
Yeah,
you know
you should
what I mean?
start.
Like,
You should start doing that.
I know. What the thing is it's for high fidelity bars specifically are not cheap. But yeah, if there was, I mean, I always say if I had like $10 million right now, no question, I would spend like $5 million on like cultivating music in this community. Period. Like that's what I would do. And then, but yeah, in any way I could, like even on a youth level. But yeah, don't. So until I do, I have to be like, I hope somebody can make a $1 million high fidelity bar out here. And
Who are some of your favorite artists on your journey that have influenced you, maybe well known or not well known?
right. So there's so many in the scenes that like you guys might be familiar with. So Jamie Jones is a massive inspiration. You said Hot Since '82, like he's always been an inspiration. Bedouin that we mentioned earlier, they've been an inspiration for a while now. I love Dennis Cruz, like absolutely. He's like top three, and just the way he plays, and yeah, his records are amazing. He like literally never misses. Um, I would say artists like Francis Mercier on an Afro level, super inspiring. Blondish was great, like and still is great. Blondish is amazing, but like 4 years ago or so, it was a little different.
It's interesting how your music changes over the years.
Right, it's crazy, and it's not me. It's me and them. Like Kanye is such a great example. Like I love Kanye.
I love the old Kanye.
Yeah, but it's like he might drop an album tomorrow that I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like I heard this song you dropped recently that's just ridiculously good. So it's like I just know he's an artist, and I'm like, dude, do your thing.
Yeah.
I don't have to like all, and he's the same way. He's like, you don't have to like all my shit. Like so, but it's a cool energy that like I definitely am starting more and more to adopt. Like I don't even. It's like for me with the playing and the creating of music, it's like I really want to be flexible in my genres and I know everyone says that, but I just don't want to get stuck in something where 5 years later I want to do something different. They're like, no, you play this. It's like, no, I want to like just be like Solomon. Like a Solomon is like super open, or like a Maceo Plex.
Have you ever seen Solomon?
Never in person. No, never.
I've never seen him either.
Yeah, I almost went to the 24-hour party for Space closing, but I it's one of those things. I said on the spot. I was like, you won't regret going. You will regret not going. That's what I said, but I was so
How
busy.
nice do you think Space is going to be when they reopen?
It's going to be amazing. It was amazing before they reopened. They're reopening super, super soon. Like
Okay.
in the next couple weeks, like 3 weeks or so.
Did they announce who's going to do the opening party?
So I don't know who's going to do the opening party at Space. I do know who's going to be at Floyd's, but I don't know who's going to be on the opening party at Space right
Okay.
now. Yeah, but if you like Ranger Trucco, he'll be on at Floyd's. I don't know if they've announced Ranger Trucco's sick. He's like an up and coming guy, super like minimal vibes. But I don't know if they've announced yet. But when you know, let me know. Like I'm going. It's gonna be sick. I love Space so much.
I went there. My experience was I probably need to go again, but not by myself. I did Space by myself.
Feel you.
And I did like a shift from 12 to 9.
12 p.m. to 9 a.m.
12 a.m. to 9
Or
a.m.
12 a.m. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I was like,
That
yeah, I know. I
was a
mean,
long shift.
you can do different shifts. Yeah,
Uh,
I've done like a 3:30 to 1 p.m.
And I did not know that. Like, I did not know how it worked. And
Yeah,
I mean, the artists, like, I saw Monolink and Tin Liquor in the same night.
that was at Space when
That was
you
that
went.
space. And Monolink,
Sick.
have you ever seen Monolink?
No, yeah, yes, for the One of Us show.
Yeah, he's,
Yeah,
when did he come
a
here?
while ago, a couple years ago,
He was great.
Tampa.
He was great live when I saw him. I'd like to see him again. Um,
I love his style.
so you create music, and I don't know if I got wrong information, but did you or do you work with the Beats Academy?
Yeah, the
Okay.
Beats Academy. Yeah, so I've done some DJ lessons with them.
Okay.
There's a production student that just signed up to work with me. Um, yes,
Okay.
I do not. My time is very limited right now, so I can't like accept like if
Every,
people are watching this and shit and they're like, "Yo, teach me how to lessons." It's like, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of slots available,
mhm.
and I like to take in students very like maximum 2 students. You know what I mean? I just don't, and I do one on one. I don't do group. So I just like take you through. Maximum you need is 10 lessons, but I've been able to do it in 5 or 6
Mhm.
and you're ready to go. And I've Lane is my most recent student. I don't know if you guys have heard of Lane, but she's been playing a lot lately, doing the privé parties, the OMF pre party the other day. She's at the Henley often. And then I worked with Gabby Rose, who I'm sure you guys have
Yeah,
heard of.
I've seen Gabby all over the place. I tried to get her to come on the show.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
great. She's awesome. Yeah, she's such a great person. And yeah, so I train students. I
Mhm.
just my time's getting super limited, and with the label and everything, it's just like okay, I can't. I got to prioritize.
So sometimes people they DM me on Instagram
Yeah.
with questions or like a hot topic to ask.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you something. If you don't feel comfortable answering it, we can move on.
Great.
But somebody said, can you ask or, raise the topic? Are we seeing too many fans that want to be DJs and artists that
Right.
are kind of oversaturating the market and ruining it for true artists?
I love that question so much. And I don't mean to get deep here, but music is expression. Art is expression. A canvas like this with art across
Mhm.
it has sold for millions of dollars, you know? And then something that someone worked on for 4 years that looks like a Dali painting has sold for the same. It's really subjective or objective. Is that I forget which one is like, hey, it's up to you. It's
Yeah.
up to your opinion. But essentially, like, I believe that consumers like should be artists. Like I feel that everyone personally is an artist in like some way, shape, or form. And whatever way you want to express, like I'm all for it. That is
Mhm.
really like a big mission of mine. Is just like I'm all for expression. Imogen Heap, do you guys know Imogen Heap, the
Mhm.
artist? She made a instrument that where you can move your body and it'll make sound. It's like, yeah, I tried to buy one. I reached out to them and everything. I'm
That's
like, I'm a musician
interesting.
because they're sold out. I'm like, can you just get me one? And they're like, no. You're not the only person that's hit us up. We can't get you one. But they're like sold out. You just can't get a hold of them. But they're little gloves that
Mhm.
you can really like make music with. And anyways, what I'm getting at here is that I believe as technology evolves and as like the culture evolves, community evolves, humans evolve, I believe that the distance between your emotions and your expression and then the materialization of that form, whether it's music, whether it's painting, whether it's cooking or whatever, it's shortening. That's what technology is doing. It's making
Right.
it easier for people to express. So, anyways, with all that being said, DJing in itself, like coming from someone who's been playing music since I was 12 years old on all different instruments, who works day and night to create music, who like literally sweats, puts hours and hours in for the past 8 years on music. I think it's okay. I don't see it as a threat, and I believe that the audience is, at the end of the day, the people that kind of determine and curate like what we're listening to. You know. So I'm long story short, I'm thankful that technology is making it easier for people to express. And I believe that there's enough of a demographic in the world to kind of resonate with
Okay.
everyone.
Do you think we are losing a lot of authenticity with Spliced? Because there are a lot of people that are producers, but they're not utilizing an actual vocalist. Like we just had
Right.
Jensen on here, And he's worked with Jody Knight. He's worked with a bunch of the Anjuna and TNH vocalists. And I have not seen anybody except one artist. Oh, I can't remember. It's his girlfriend.
Greco?
No, not Greco. Is it Carlos or Alejandro? I met him and his girlfriend. I know she's a vocalist, and I know Greco's girlfriend or fiance has done a little bit, but I feel like we don't see a lot, and we're losing a lot of authenticity with, I'm a producer, I can pull from Splice. I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I like these. I like this whole like shooting fire.
Well, I'm a
questions.
vocalist. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I just did a session with Danielle Hoff 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Breezy was on the production immediately. So Breezy and I had a couple of sessions together. We made a collaboration. It's a really cool song so far. And I brought Danielle in, and I met her. She was like, I'm a singer. I'm like, fuck yeah, come through. And so she came through. We vibed for like 2.5 hours and wrote this really cool, kind of like a bridge and then a little chorus over this. It's not like it's almost ethnic, but it has a really driving, deep beat to it. So yeah, I just did that. And like at the end of the day, it's harder. So like,
but this is what I like though, is that you took the time to like work with somebody, and it's very challenging to work with a vocalist, to get the timing, to sync everything up, and then to have it mixed and mastered appropriately.
Right. So that's what I did. That was my like full-time thing in LA. I worked for a group called the Futuristics.
Okay.
And they would run sessions. They'd run like 3 to 5 sessions a week. With some really talented people, singer-songwriters, and then they'd pitch these songs to different labels like Warner, Atlantic, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, wow.
And so I would be in there like just doing like fucking bullshit work forever, like cleaning shit and getting products and going and picking up weed. But then when the session was done, they would leave, give me the keys to the studio, and be like, arrange everything and fix these vocals up. So when you're talking about like timing and alignment and snapping vocals and putting a nice chain on them or making a nice chain for that artist, like getting the breaths out, but not too much.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, it is a lot. But that's why I told Danielle, I ran into her, like I was with her on like Sunday, and she's like, how's the track going? And I was like, I just want to like set your expectations. This is going to be a couple, like maybe a month or two. And this is just with what I have going on. This is going to be a month or two. So with to the point, right? And, I hate to be in the middle with this, but Splice is fine. And then certain records, you're just like, oh, this aligned, and this is how I'm going to make it. The Splice vocals really fuck with me because it's like there's so many songs that have fucking Splice vocals. I do it, and I do it to make the record. And I'm like, okay, the record's done. Like, hell yeah, it helps me arrange, right? And then I'm like, fuck, there's like 4 other songs that have like released in that 2 weeks that have those vocals. So I don't love that. And it's just, again, like, singers, songwriters, put yourself out there. I would say musicians and producers locally, get super chill and comfortable with sending your music out. Because I know people can hold on to stuff and be like, I'm fucking scared. I don't think it's good enough, but like whatever. Like, and also when you're working with vocalists, you want to leave a kind of bare track. I think it helps give the vocalist more room. Whoops, excuse me, my bad. Give the vocalist more room to write some original stuff. So, anyways.
I know when I work with an artist in Orlando, Yari, and when he sends me stuff, it's just a raw instrumental track. But then he says the same thing you says. It's gonna take a couple months. It's gonna take a couple months. Like, I want it now. He's like, oh, it takes a couple months, and then to find the right company to mix and master. I mean,
I got a lot of guys.
I got
a lot of guys. I can recommend a couple guys. Whatever your budget is. I mean, I can go from $150 for a master, really cheap, but from $150 to $300, I've got guys, or honestly $500, depending on the quality. But I think they all do an amazing job. So I got guys. It just depends on the genre.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Because everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses.
Right. That was another thing. I did mixing and mastering. I mixed and mastered for Kyle Kinch a couple records. One of them got signed to Realm. One of them got signed to Gene Ferris, who we were talking about, Ferris wheel. Yep. So, anywho, I used to do that for a long time, and I was like, this is too like, it's too like heady. You have to mix in your production for sure. Like I mix for sure, whatever. But like the mastering and having another ear, it's doing that as a job is very analytical, and I was like, I don't like this anymore.
Yeah.
But I do it for my own records. But some of them, again, like the song with Danielle, I'm gonna mix and master that. Like I
Mhm.
have to because I'm gonna, and that's why it's gonna take so long.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna like take the time on that record to really piece it apart. But there's some records that are just dance floor groovers. Like you don't even need vocals. You know
Right.
what I mean? Rip that thing out in like a couple weeks. It's just a different. And you've probably heard this a million times, but some records take a year to make,
Yeah.
and some take like 4 days. So
Absolutely. Um, so because you're so busy, what do you do to decompress and set time aside for you? Or like, I don't know if you have a significant other, but what do you do to
yeah,
make sure that you don't get so consumed by music? Because I feel like we
yeah,
see this all the time is we've had so many guests on the show and it just consumes their life and then
yeah.
they burn out.
Right. That's funny. I just saw a thing earlier that was saying, it's a creative's responsibility to avoid burnout. And I think that's the best way to put it. I've been doing this for so long. I've been burnt out for like 4 years of it, right? And not
Mhm.
had a lot of productivity. But what I've been able to do is really manage my time in a very like efficient way. I don't put any more, I go 3 to 5 tasks right now. This is my strategy. I go 3 to 5 tasks a day or I'm sorry, a week, and then for 12 weeks, so across the season.
Mhm.
So you just plan out ultimately like anywhere from like 36 to like 60 different tasks. That's it. So at the beginning of the quarter, which is a season, you just go, I have these 60 tasks to do that are you've heard the phrase work on your business, not in your business. So we work on our business by creating these 60 tasks. That's what we're thinking about. The tasks aren't like mop the floors, right? The tasks are, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
tasks are like, for me, would be, for instance, I had to redesign my website. I had to audit and optimize my brand profiles, and I had to create a yearly and then quarterly content calendar pre-planned.
So do you do this most of this yourself?
Yeah, so I've worked with people in the past.
Okay.
So like I would be a ghostwriter and I'd write the music and then be like, you crush it with the artist career. And it's just, there's been so much like uncontrollables, especially in my life over this past decade, where I'm like, okay, like I can do this. And then one of us, like that's the big collaboration there, is that team that I talked about, that Matt, like Door, Nye, Kennedy, like their team, and just the videographers, photographers that they have are
They run
amazing.
a tight ship.
Oh my
And
God.
all their events, and I've said this many of times, I've always felt safe at the events.
Hmm.
Um, if there was any type of shenanigans brewing, like they've handled it quickly, quietly, like, and it's just like I remember one time when we got bottle service, we got a table, and it just the service was like, out of the world. It was great.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, and his events are affordable.
Hmm.
And I think, sometimes, with everybody having their events, it's where do we spend our money? But I definitely think one of us is definitely worth every penny.
You're right.
Every penny. I mean, they, like you said, they know how to throw on a production.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And like we were talking about Halloween, I'm really, really, really excited for the Halloween party.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I've been to so many of his and they're always good. And I know it's going to be a great production.
Always is.
Yeah. And are you getting a lot of help with them with the estate and promoting that?
Right.
And
Exactly.
okay.
100%. Yeah. I mean, they have an awesome community, like the exact target demographic that's looking for something like this in the city. And so, with one of us, like I guess the shared responsibilities in this relationship is I really want to help not just them, but again, this community, just like one of us does. And my way and my attributes that I can contribute is music, right? And then that creative direction. So, like, I've traveled the world going to festivals and shows and there to listen to artists and really experience the event on a deep level. So we're working with the estate, planning to work with different venues across the country, and really grow one of us. And I plan to help in that musical and creative way.
Mhm.
So with starting the label, that'll be a direct partnership with one of us.
Okay.
So they will help with giving awareness to you guys. Everyone that knows and loves their events can also know and love their music. And so that's where I encourage like anyone on a local level. A lot of people have been sending me so much amazing stuff. So we've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline on Thursday. I'm connecting with Nick Salamea, another team member now who's helping with the label. He has Flat 22, and it's a successful label, but he's helping me out of the UK right now. and he's done this, been through it years on end. Greco's helping out.
He's traveled a lot
Right,
too.
right,
I feel like
right.
I think he like even didn't he like do a summer in Ibiza?
He did. He did. Summer in Ibiza. He was in New York for a little bit. Yeah, it feels like a fucking like a Justice League of people coming together. You know what I mean? It just feels like the really it does feel like there's alignment because there's a demographic in the city that can support it. Because if that's not there, then we can't do any of this, right? So the demographic and the scene is there, and then there's the team, and then there's the leadership and the direction that Door has with that team, which is absolutely phenomenal. And then there's the expertise that I have on an event level and a creative level, but most importantly, a musical level. And then there's Jeff, like shout outs to Jeff from the estate, like even risking this to happen. So it's
Well,
been awesome.
it's nice to see the community pulling together because we've seen a lot of different collectives letting, play on, their shows and bringing other artists on. I know season 3 just happened last weekend
Right,
and they brought in, John Stewart's great. He's been on the show. He brought in every collective in the Tampa Bay. He had the Humble House, Late Night Flights,
right,
Kyle.
right.
I think Gabby was there, so it was nice to see that. And it's nice to hear that with the estate that you guys are trying to do that as well.
Right.
Do you think? Because I'm going to make a statement here, and when I'm right, I'm right. We've seen a decline. So I'm going to get like a bad message from this. But we've seen a decline in, commercial artists. The Ritz used to bring in a lot of commercial house artists. Late Night Flights, Lyndon used to bring in a lot of the Anjuna artists, and the other one big solid promoter is One of Us, who's brought in a lot of commercial artists, and Prive has started to bring in bigger artists too.
Yeah.
Can we expect with the estate, and I'm not sure if you can talk about this, but do you think we might be seeing a little bit more of commercial artists coming through?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's early, like it's just early to say,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where as long as the support like continues to be there, which I absolutely believe it will. The one thing I can speak to is we have even more lighting coming in the next few
More
years.
lighting?
It's insane.
Oh my
And like it's creative. So it's like not like anything you've seen in a lot
Right.
of these clubs around here. It's such cool production. We plan on leveling up the sound as well. So look at it as like a achievement results chart, I guess.
Okay.
And so it's like when what we achieved is we proved to a state that hey guys, like your venue can really like pack out with this music and this genre and this vibe. And they were like, maybe, okay, you're right. So now what we got is like the lighting and sound upgrade. You know what I mean? Like ding. So to get the commercial artist upgrade that you're speaking to, that support continues to come through. Everyone continues to have a good time. The ownership sees that. And then I'd say absolutely.
And I would think, and I don't know the numbers, but I would think it's probably costly to bring bigger artists in.
100%. Depending on the size of the artist and
Yeah.
like the longevity of their career.
Yeah.
And then also sometimes there's like relationships and connections that help that, but you want to make sure that you're paying your artist appropriately. So
Do you find that's something that people struggle with when they're starting their career, that maybe people think they should get paid all this money up front right away, or is it kind of like you have to pay your dues before you start earning the money?
yeah. You're asking the hard hitting questions. No, but no, that's super true. I mean, that's yeah. There's ways because I get asked this with the students even. It's like how do you make there's just so many ways to make money, right, in your career. And I'm not saying anything new here. Like you can go with a label or management or representation across any genre that can cost you anywhere from 15 to 30%. And they can help elevate your career on a faster level and get you more money
30%?
on a really crazy deal.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, and if you're watching this and you're like, let me charge artists 30%, fuck you. But essentially, like, because 15% is just like, it's like, that's just safe if you're going to crush it out of the park. And I've seen people that have gotten management and like, that's it. Like their career skyrocketed right after. So management can really help. But management can also like take money for no reason and give you no results and slow down your career. So that's a whole nother topic.
That was gonna be my next question is, do you have to be careful?
For sure. I mean, but in any business you do.
Yeah.
Do you know? So there's just this, uniqueness, right, to you as an individual and the path that you are going to take. And so you can say, like, I'm going to be independent. And you're like, okay, well, what does that mean? And then that roots back to the question you asked me earlier. Is like, do you do all this stuff yourself? And it's like, yeah, but but for my career, because I'm independent, right? But then I can leverage is a bad word, but align is probably my favorite word, with entities and communities that I really resonate with and that I hope resonate with me, like one of us, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just, in my mind, it's about like decision making, on like what aligns with you, what feels right.
Have you ever had to make a decision that didn't align with you, that was tough, and how did you deliver that message to that partnership or that thing maybe that didn't work out? And have you had people where you try to be professional and hey, this just doesn't align with me? Have you had someone kind of come back
Yeah.
and how do you handle that?
Tough convos. So the most practical way, I'll just start with the most
Okay.
practical thing ever, is this is the proactive way, right? Is to set up, like, be as vocal as possible, create as much black and white as possible, as much words on paper as possible that aligns your relationship before you get into that relationship. Whether it's the management position, whether it's like collaboration with another artist, you're like, I want a videographer at this shoot. Like, great. Like, let me know exactly. Let's not like wait until after the shoot and then it's like, oh, could you maybe pay me? Like, really, truly, like, even if it's a free shoot, like, why? You know what I mean? And then have a direct outcome list. That's helped me so much, and continuing moving forward every year, every day, I learn how to be even more dialed in with that, right? So if I'm going on a shoot with a photographer or videographer, I'm going to have a mood board, I'm going to have a budget for them, et cetera, et cetera. So what I'm getting at here is that, like, in the situations where that's happened to me, I've learned a lesson, and that lesson was to be proactive in my boundaries inside of that relationship. When it happened, I just have to, I mean, a meeting is the simplest way to put it, a conversation, communication. It's scary, but you learn from it. So you have to speak to just how you're feeling and realize that the other person's not doing anything out of a malicious intent. It's just like their own perspective and worldview, and if be okay with maybe this not being in alignment, essentially, even if you lose a friend, which just recently happened
This
to me.
this sounds like the conversation we just had earlier about something that happened, and I'm very sorry to hear about your friend.
No, no, you're good. You're good.
That's
You're
so.
good.
Actually just had an artist on here. We talked about like the mental health, and I hope whatever you're going through with losing
Oh,
your friend is.
oh, no, 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 no. All good. All good. Yeah, everything. No, thank you. But yeah, all good. It's again, like, it's life. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And there's these things, and I just look at them as um, opportunities and ways to, like, grow, and just a different way to. It's like a transmuted energy, essentially. But,
Yeah. Um, because you've been like everywhere, what was probably one of the best shows or festivals, and what was one of the worst ones?
yeah, so I really liked, and this is just in my recent memory because I was just thinking about it today. But BPM Festival in Costa Rica was really sick because it's on like the beaches of Tamarindo, and it's like in the jungle, and it's just a cool design. And they have day parties like across the beaches
Okay.
at these kind of like resorts. So you're like day partying at the resorts, amazing music, and then the party kind of ends, and then you get on shuttles and go into the jungle. Like, and then the party does not end. Like, and it goes until the sun comes up, and then everyone sleeps until like 6, and then you go back to the resorts, and it's like a 3-day
Okay.
festival. And just Costa Rica is so beautiful, and getting out there is such a trek. And everyone has biasness to the festivals. Get Lost by Damien Lazarus I've got to mention it anytime anyone talks about a party. He also does the Day Zero parties. He's the best curator. He's just amazing. I haven't been to every curation in the world, but like from what I've been to, he's just amazing with the way he chooses the lineup, with the way he prints the lineup, with the way he does his decor, his production. Like, it's so good. It's so dialed in, and it's just absolutely amazing. Literally everything about it, from the way that the security guard is to the way that the bartenders they'll bring drinks through the crowd, but then they'll stop it at a certain point in the night because the crowd's too packed. That would be bothersome. Like, they're very dialed in. And so, what's the worst? What is the worst? I don't know. I don't really like. I kind of like forget. I don't know if this is like a brain thing I have, but I'm like bad memory out of here. But the worst. It has to be a festival.
Like, or maybe like a show. Like
Okay, I will say the worst moment.
okay.
I will not. This is not. The show is amazing. Like it's Afterlife, right? So to like break.
How is Afterlife?
So Afterlife is absolute. I genuinely think everyone should go to it once.
Okay.
So this is gonna sound very like, I don't know, like the opposites, right?
Right.
But everyone should go to Afterlife once. It's an absolutely cinematic experience. The craziest fucking visuals you will ever see, and it looks one way on Instagram, but when you're there and the music and the lights, it's just like what the. It's crazy.
Okay.
But Mathamine, and Math. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I've actually seen them twice, and both times this was the energy. It was like straight up, like I don't want to say like devilish, but it was very dark, like super dark, and like the crowd was not cool, and they were not moving at all.
Oh, yeah, sometimes a crowd can just.
It was like they were almost like hypnotized, but not happy. Like it was really creepy. And after that, Camel Fat came on and was absolutely amazing. Like Camel Fat just absolutely blew it through the roof. You know, with the Afterlife visuals with Camel Fat was like nuts.
Did you see the Afterlife in the U.S. or out of the country?
In the U.S. in Miami.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've heard Afterlife, if you can see it outside of the U.S., that
Right.
it's a better experience. But I've never.
Hopefully. Yeah. I mean, dude, the crowd was like this, like just like people just. You know what I mean? Like the next day at the same venue, Jamie Jones did his Paradise Party. So much better. Like,
So, what are your thoughts? And somebody did this recently, and I can't remember which collective did this, but it was no cell phones
that's
on.
so funny you say that.
Was it you?
No, I'm gonna show you this. I don't have my phone. I'm gonna show you this text message because I swear to God, I texted Dora at like 11 o'clock, and I'm saying this on camera right now because I hope you see it. At 11 o'clock, I was like, bro, no phones party. Because I went to No Art, No Phones in Miami for a Nodar or another, or however you pronounce them, and Honey Dijon. Absolutely amazing. Like, and he was like, oh, this is verbatim what he said. He's like, it's too trendy. And I'm like, bro, it's not trendy. Like, it's real. Like, so to answer your question, I love the no phones party because in my experience at these no phones party, it is the best. Like, people just need to connect. That's what we're here for. Dance floor. You'll get content. Just get it before and out. Who even cares? Everyone's seen your party videos already. Like, the dance floor being able to resonate with each other to me is so important. So I literally, let's start a petition. I want a no phones party at a state. Like, I'm not kidding.
I think
I think it's the perfect venue for it. It's like you're safe.
I think we should do it, or at least try it once.
Yeah.
Try it once.
Right.
And that's what I love about a lot of the Lane 8's label This Never Happened events.
Right.
Because they'll take your phone, they'll put it in a
So
locker.
sick.
And just the experience you have and the connection you have with the people.
Yeah.
It's so different. So, yeah, I definitely support, like, man, that would be my first show I'll go to. Just
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
We're
The calendar is like, has a little bit more packed in it, but I was like, in early November, potentially we could do it late October, but I was like, that would just be cool. It's just to get the phones is a thing though. Like for real, it's like, how do you get the phone? Because what they do at the no phones party is typically you just put it in the bag that they use for like comedy shows, and the people still because people get anxiety and shit, so people having their actual phone is a thing, and those bags like definitely aren't cheap. So it's just one of those things where like, okay, how do we make this make sense? Like, do you buy? Because you think about it, you have to buy like 500 of those bags, and you might lose some of those bags. That's an expense. So there's a lot of like.
Oh man, yeah. If you lost a bag, I would be really upset.
Yeah, well, no, you would because you have it in your hand. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've done it before at a comedy at Dave Chappelle. My phone, so you can't use it, right? But it's in this bag. You have it, and so you might like put it down. While you're pissing or something, or you might like put it underneath your seat because it's like obnoxious and you're in a stand, and then you can't fucking call the phone. You don't have the phone. You can't locate it. You know what I mean? Like it's in the bag, so it's like it's easier. It's like a brick. It's like you're kind of carrying around this. There's a little bit of, and when you're in the club, I did it at Space. I could fit it in my pocket, and women can fit it in their bag. So there's a plus there if you have one of those things. But anyways,
okay,
pros and cons.
like I said, I'm very, very excited. that one of us has teamed up with the estate. I know there was a lot of chatter about where the next venue was going to be, who was going to be managing it.
Hmm.
So I think this is a win-win for the community. Like I said, I'm excited. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the viewers before we wrap things up?
Nope. No. In terms of the music and the label, that's going to be a major focus. This is the first week of us working on it and the back end on it. So we've gotten a lot of demos, and I would love to get more demos. Again, like our goal here is to really support the community as much as possible and to support people that just want to like get their ideas out there. And sometimes it's not, I think a lot of our conversations been like, doing it on your own is actually like a lot of effort. So if we can come together and work together, we're gonna get a lot more out of it. And in terms of the estate, same thing. I mean, if you guys want a new venue and you want to keep seeing upgrades and you want to have commercial artists come in, then support as much as possible. That means, like, share, comment, reviews, even like literally the smallest things can go a long way. And then if you need anything, like I say this, it's like, and I want to maintain this the rest of my career. Like if you need anything, just reach out. Like reach out to me. Like if I don't get back to you in 24 hours, 48 hours, like I'll reach. It's chill. Like I want if I can help in any way, I would like to. So that's it.
All right, well, we will list your socials down below in the comments. And again, I want to say shout out to Tyler, the creator, for sponsoring this episode, and he does all the heavy lifting. And we are going to be trying to find a new home, so just be patient, folks. And I will see you guys out on the streets, summer in the streets.
On the street.